But right now, hanging out with me in the studio Orleans is our favorite uncle, Uncle B, dual threat analyst, national champion at BYU, and a man who loves March basketball. Blaine, good to have you.
Oh, this is the best time of year, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, it starts now, it just goes for a couple of weeks, and then when it ends, we all go, oh, now what? it's not good when it ends.
Probably not going to be baseball, but that's a conversation for another day.
That's okay. It's okay.
Okay, Blaine, while we're focused on March, and I just made this point in the early part of the show, super compelling. BYU's in a very unique situation, playing on Friday for the first time. We have them on BYU TV on the men's side in the West Coast Conference Tournament game for the first time ever. Do you feel like this weekend, is it as simple as this weekend will define the season for BYU men's basketball?
Yeah, I hate to put it all down. I do think the beginning of the season matters, and I do think when it all comes down to it and the committee's considering who's really on the bubble and who's not, and it's not Jerry Palm and it's not Joe Lenardi, it's actually the committee sitting in there. They say over and over and over again that the games early in the year actually do matter. And BYU had that stumbling week or so, a couple of weeks, where they just couldn't find themselves, and teams kind of challenged them in different ways. But I think they've corrected that. They figured out how to play defense in the last couple of games, and that's going to be the key for them. Again tonight is to play defense, and again tomorrow is to play defense. But I think they're in a good position if they win tonight, and they win tomorrow against San Francisco, which is going to be a quad one game, that just getting to Monday changes the deal for them. And then I think they're solidly in. And I don't think they're completely out if they win tonight and lose tomorrow. But I think why leave it up to chance? Why be right there hanging on the bubble, right? When I think with a win on Saturday, you're just in.
Yeah, I just don't see a situation where the committee, who, as you pointed out, say, look, we value all quality wins, especially if those quality wins have maintained in the net rankings throughout the entirety of the season. If BYU has 5 quadrant 1 wins and a recent one against San Francisco, how in the world do you leave a team like that out, who has seemingly found themselves after that 4-game losing streak of a stumbling block?
Yeah, and you pointed this out earlier in the show, and that is BYU finds himself in a very different situation this year. They've come down in the past where the resume was already there. They didn't need to do anything. They could show up on Monday and play, or they've been the 3 seed with maybe a little bit of work to do. But this is like desperation mode, where I think they come in with a chip on their shoulders. They come in knowing that they've got to win. I think the focus is going to be there. I think the energy is going to be there. I can't see LMU having the kind of performance they had last night. I called that game. The way they shot the ball, especially Quintana shot the ball, was unbelievable last night. It's hard to catch that once a year, and that's his career high. To do that back-to-back nights, it just doesn't happen very often. Now watch, he'll go
for 30
he'll go
again.
For 30. We talked to Joe Quintana after the game last night, and I said that had to be one of those days where you felt like in warm-ups, whoa, I'm making everything. And he said, yeah, it felt that way. In warm-ups, he thought, man, I'm making everything. And he goes, when the first shot went down, he thought, yep, this is it. He just wanted the ball last night. Those nights are so rare for any player that I can't imagine he does that again tonight. And that's how they won last night, because nobody else could score earlier in that ball game for LMU.
I loved the intensity of that game. That being said, how much energy did LMU have to expend to beat Pacific, and what do they have left in the tank for a BYU team that is playing with that desperate backdrop?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to generate that, especially because they didn't just jump out on Pacific and lead the whole game. It was back and forth. They were behind, and nobody could make a shot. Eli Scott was getting all kinds of shots at the rim, and he's their most consistent scorer. He just couldn't get the ball to go through the hole. And in the meantime, Quintana's out on the outside just knocking down everything. He kept them in the game, but they had to claw back, and then they kind of pulled away at the end. And Eli Scott had a really good second half after they started to pay attention to the perimeter shooting. Then Scott got open, and those shots started to fall. They had to extend a lot of energy to win that ball game last night, and they've got a really short roster right now. They've had so many injuries that have affected them. Kelly Leapepe who had such a tremendous game against BYU earlier this year. He's a big physical presence for them, and as far he was not cleared last night, I don't think he's cleared for tonight. That has a big effect. Lipiev is not playing. That's another 6'7" guy that they can't get on the floor. Douglas is out. That's another 6'7" guy. So you go 6'6" crazy physical Leapepe, and then 2 6'7" guys that they don't have. So they've been in a really short roster situation for a while. You play with a short roster, you play the kind of game you did last night, it's hard to have enough energy to come out and match a team like BYU, who's out on the floor right now behind us.
Yeah,
we heard the balls dribble, and they just took the floor to get ready for their game tonight.
All right, the Cougars warming up behind us while we do this live edition of BYU Sports Nation. With that being said about LMU and the energy expended and their personnel that are available and some that are not available, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what kind of chance do you give BYU to beat LMU tonight and get to that massive quad 1 opportunity against USF?
I'd say that there should be a 9 out of 10 chance to win tonight. Just because of the factors that we talked about, and because BYU is going to have to play with such a chip on their shoulders. And BYU has better matchups for Eli Scott than Pacific does. Foose is a good answer for Scott. Now, the key for him in this game tonight is to guard and use that big barrel chest and his big body to body up but not foul. So to not reach, just play body to body with Eli Scott. He's used to being able to just push people around. And last night, he got anywhere he wanted on the floor at any time. Just kind of lowered the shoulder a little bit, not so much that he got an offensive foul, but got to every spot he wanted to. Shots didn't fall in the first half, they did in the second half. Foose is a fun matchup for him. And then BYU's got some great length on the guard line and some guys that can guard. I think Quintana's not going to have as many open looks as he had. Although, I have to say this. Once he got going, he had a few open looks and knocked them down. Then once he got going, it didn't matter what kind of look he got. He could be face guarded 26 feet away from the basket, and he was still knocking down shots last night. It was one of those nights for him. Yeah, but BYU will know where he is. And you have to find him in transition, too. So I think BYU, fresh legs, playing with a chip on their shoulder, good matchup for Eli Scott down in the paint. No Kelly Leapepe makes a difference. If somehow miraculously Leapepe shows up, I still only click that down maybe 1 click to an 8, because BYU would have to have a struggle shooting the ball to not win tonight.
Certainly. Okay, let's push it forward because we can. We don't have to focus on the moment.
We don't have to go one game at a time. We have to do that.
We're talking about the entire weekend now. If BYU survives LMU, which we both think and feel confidently that they should, and get to that matchup with USF, now the Cougars are in a similar position that LMU is, with having to expend energy and get past the game. And what will BYU have left for USF, and how do they match up in that type of game?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do, right? To play back-to-back nights. I think back-to-back is better than back-to-back-to-back, right? And the teams that played last night that we called, if they're to make it, they've got to go 3 nights in a row. I think the players, you can play 2 nights in a row if the first night you play well right out of the gate. And I think it's important for us to watch BYU tonight, that they get a good start, that the matchups work for them, that they don't feel like they're straining to win this game, that they're having to come from behind and gut it out and do all those things that take not just physical energy, but emotional energy to come back in a game. In that situation, then you have a little bit of an advantage in that you have played on this court. So it's a neutral court. You know the backdrop. So you've seen shots go through the bucket. There's a little bit of an advantage in that. But not if you have a game where you get down big in the first half, you've got to grind back, you come back, it's a down-to-the-wire game. Because I feel like the emotional energy that you have to use to get back in a game like that has as much impact on the game the next night as the physical energy. These guys run all over the place. It's the only sport I know of where they do just what they're doing right now behind us, that where you come out the day of the game and you run up and down the court full blast, and you guard each other, and you run drills, and you shoot. I mean, these guys would come out here for an hour, and they get a good sweat up, and they get going. Then they go rest up a little bit, they come back, and they play a game that night. So in football, you don't go out and have a scrimmage for an hour in the morning and then come back and play a game that night. These guys are unbelievably conditioned. And if they can take care of business in this game tonight, where it's not a big emotional drain, then I think they're fine against San Francisco tomorrow night. And I think that they're going to play with so much desperation that it'll make a difference.
Blaine Fowler is with us on BYU Sports Nation. It is interesting when you look at the matchup potentially tomorrow between BYU and USF, because in my opinion, it feels like a tournament elimination game on the BYU side. But I'm of the opinion that USF could still lose to BYU, and they might still get in the tournament, and then we have 4 West Coast Conference teams. What do you think, when all is said and done, the magic number is for the WCC? I still tend to lean towards 3, but if BYU beats USF, does the WCC, is it in their best interest with that happening so they get 4 teams in?
I think USF is high enough in the NET right now that if BYU were to beat them, there's still a really good chance that they're in the tournament, that they don't completely drop out of it. You and I have been talking about it a lot the last couple of weeks. It does feel like an elimination game, but more so because we're coming to it from a BYU perspective.
Yeah.
You know, Dave McCann had a conversation with league officials yesterday, and they were going, no, BYU could lose, and they just need to get to the San Francisco game. BYU could lose and still get in. You and I feel a little tenuous about that, right?
I don't like that.
But on the reverse side of that, if you look at San Francisco's resume and where they sit right now, a loss to BYU is not a horrific loss. They're considered in the tournament right now. Yeah, there's a good chance that BYU beats USF, and USF is one of the last teams in. I mean, the WCC gets 4 teams. It's absolutely a 3-bid league.
Yes.
There's no question.
Yes.
And there's a chance. I'm saying less than 50%, but there's a chance that 4 teams from WCC get in this year.
That is wild. We are here living in a reality where we could have legitimately 4 West Coast Conference teams in the NCAA tournament.
Crazy.
Blaine, thanks for hanging out. Let's give you some karma and some energy to survive this very busy Friday.
Yep, a couple games to call here. We're just going to get to work in a little bit and go until late at night. That's what we do.
That's what we do down here.